What do I say? I don't know.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I know. It's my turn to do whatever I want. I realize that. So you have met my family, my husband Clarence, who I will be celebrating 51 years of wedded bliss. He laughed.
That's the kind of
And we'll be spending it like we did the 50th at the racetrack.
With us.
Yeah, our son and grandchildren race professional karts. So last year was our 50th anniversary and they had a race. We had to be there. So they did announce it at the track and congratulated us on 50 years and said, they don't have a life, do they? Our son Michael, firstborn, a racer. His wife Tara, who owns a beauty salon right outside Andrews Air Force Base. What's it called?
Hair Force.
Hair Force. I like that name.
Play on words.
And our grandchildren, our beautiful grandchildren, Addison, who just turned 9, and Zachary, who is 6, in first grade. Our daughter, Laura, is in South Carolina and couldn't be here today.
She's on FaceTime.
She said, "Oh, Mom, I want to hear your speech." And I said, "Well, I'll have to send it to you."
I'm recording it, but he's FaceTime.
Oh my God, that's such a surprise. Anyway, her husband Ike and their daughter Lucy, who just turned 3, is all of my children and my husband, they are my heartbeat. They just are wonderful and they are very supportive and I love them all dearly and I'm going to spend a lot more time with them. I hope I'm not seeing you all for the last time. I would like to stay connected to NRL in some way. And most of the people that I've been working with say, yeah, what can you do? Well, I was here for the 50th anniversary. I was here for the 75th anniversary. I think I'm gonna be here for the 100th, and I'd like to help put that together. So, Victor has talked to me about it, and I said, I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I just wanna go home or, you know, stay connected at least with that, and I think I would. Ashley Wall is the coordinator, she's in the back, and I would like to help you, Ashley. I think Victor already mentioned that I actually have a connection with NRL back in the 5th grade, 5th, 6th, 7th, and high school, because my father worked here. He worked in the Vanguard, on Vanguard with the Carls and with Dr. Friedman for about 10 years. He worked at Indian Head before that. So he and my mom took me out of public school in Prince George's County back when I was in 5th grade, and they said, you need better education than you're getting here. So they put me in private school downtown Washington, and I had no way of getting home to Accokeek, Maryland after school, so I would come here and do homework with my friend in the lobby of Building 72. And there were times, you know, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, we got a little rowdy in the lobby. And Mrs. Arville Chrysler was the head of HRO. I don't know why she was in the lobby, but she would kindly ask us to step outside if we weren't going to be good and be quiet. So many times I was waiting for my dad outside the lobby. And little did I know that 10 years later, Mrs. Arville Chrysler hired me back to NRL. So I like to tell that story about Arville. So many people have asked me, well, what are you going to do now? A lot of people here are saying, what are your plans? Well, I'm gonna do a lot more of what I enjoy doing now, but don't seem to have the time. I love gardening, when my back can take the bending. I like singing in our church choir. I was heading up a quilting group and just got too busy, so I intend to get that going again. I even have all the squares ready to sew together. My husband has 3 more states that he hasn't been in the United States. I have 6. So we plan on spending some time in the upper Northwest where those states are. I probably will also do some volunteering. I'll tell you a little bit later. One of my passions when I was here was Toastmasters, and Mary Beth is here. We actually, well, I'll tell you the story now. We actually led a group of students in youth leadership, which is a Toastmasters program, for 17 years. What we would do is we would go up to Patterson Elementary, which was a community outreach school of NRL, and for 2 hours on a day, for 8 weeks, we would teach those children how to be confident about themselves. These were kids that were, some of them homeless, some of them had no parents at home, some of them were already in the juvenile system, some were really good students. It was a mix of 15 kids. And we started out the very first week in teaching them how to shake hands and look us, an adult, look us in the eye and say, "My name is so-and-so, how are you?" And I go to Patterson Elementary School. Are you having a good day? Just anything, but to shake a hand with a good grip and look at that person, that adult, in the eye, took 2 hours the first week. And from then on, the beginning of every class was to shake hands and feel confident. So we put that confidence in them, that they were good people. And then we went on, we taught them how to speak extemporaneously, some that many adults are afraid to do, how to lead a discussion, how to evaluate a speaker, and that's the beginning of another story. On the last day that I knew I would be graduating these kids, because the guidance counselor was retiring, and I decided I didn't want to continue without her. On the last graduation that we had, I decided I wanted to bring them to NRL. So we did. We got a bus, their teachers came, their classmates came, they came to NRL, and we had the graduation right in this room. And they were so impressed. They had to lead a 1-hour program by themselves. Mary Beth and I were on the side, sitting with the parents and their classmates. They led a 1-hour program with speeches and evaluations and table topics. And so I decided to invite a guest speaker, and that guest speaker was Captain Rao. Now, I thought Captain Rao was one of the best speakers NRL had ever had. And I asked him to give a talk for the kids, and he talked about when he was growing up, he had to give a speech one time, and he completely forgot everything he had to say. And they were just mesmerized. He had them in the palm of his hand. But little did he know that he too was going to get evaluated. So one of the little 5th graders, it was on the program for him to come up and evaluate Captain Rao. And full of confidence, he said, "Captain Rao, I think you are a good speaker. You gave a good speech. You had us in the palm of your hand. But you know what? You could have used a little bit more body language." And you had one awe. So we Toastmasters, as a rule, would listen to people speak and would count the ahs, because that's a distraction when you're speaking. So that's my Toastmaster story. That was a passion of mine when I was here. I was probably a member for about 25 years. They called me the mom. I was the first woman to join. So that was a lot of fun. Let me see. I've jumped around here. 1983, I suffered a RIF, a reduction in force. And that's when I was a biologist working in Ocean Sciences Division. And I was happy there. I was, you've probably seen some of the pictures of the aquaria in my office and the stones there that filtered the water. I was on the tour group for TID at the time. They would always bring the kids to Building 65, which is, I think, being redone. And I would tell them what I was doing. But at the RIF, the time of the RIF, I could have had a job at Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, and I turned that down, as Victor mentioned, just because I really didn't want to take my children, Mike and Laura, to that hot place, and I would have had to leave the house my father built that I was living in and raising our children in. So I looked around and I thought, what can I do? Well, I've written papers as a scientist. Why don't I see if I could work in TID? So I talked to the public affairs officer first, and I was gonna have to take a 2-grade back. And I said, I don't think I want to do that. I had just earned my GS-12. And I said, I can do better than that. So I talked to Tim Calderwood and Pete Imhoff, who were the head of the publications area. And they said, yeah, you've got some experience. We can hire you. So that's where I began my TID experience. And it's been wonderful. It was a wonderful probably almost 30 years that I was there. Some of the things that I remember in TID and before even were our involvement in all the changes of command. Lots of fun, and I've always had a soft spot in my heart for pomp and circumstance, so I still cry at the changes of command. Captain Petrovic, I'll be there crying for you when you when you retire or change jobs. I worked. Also, some of the other things that have been fun were Scientists Helping America with Joe Peak. So that was a week-long conference that we were very busy at. I also really enjoyed, you've probably seen a picture of me with Isabella and Jerome Carl. That was a big job. That was the Carl's room that is right next door to us. One of the editors, the exhibitor, and I met with Isabella for weeks, and she would try and teach us her science and what she had done, which kept going completely over our heads. But we got it enough to write the content and take the pictures and come up with that beautiful room. It really is a tribute to Jerome and Isabella Carl. But it's not been all work. I've had some fun too. They tell me, I think I remember a little bit of this, that I tap danced on a table at a TID party. I'm not sure I did, but that's what they tell me. And you've seen the picture, there it is. I was the roller derby queen at one of the Halloween parties and actually skated down the hall of Building 222 with my roller skates. I think though, if there is a common thread that runs through everything and the comments that I've heard, it's the people that you work, it's always the people that you work with that make a place memorable. And I worked with many young, fun oceanographers back in my early days, but in my later days, I worked with the folks in TID who were just wonderful. I always told them, you are the best support group here at the lab. And I think they believed it. I did anyway. There are very few of us left, Cindy Allen, Jonna, Gail, and me. Well, not me anymore. So we're the ones that have been together for 30 years. We were a family. Peggy just retired. Where are you? Okay. So I am going to miss you all. But I had a new home at the end, and that was in the public affairs. TID, one of the merges, TID merged with public affairs in 2018, and I think it's been a good move. It's taken us a little bit to get used to working with a bunch of hungry reporters But they are great. They're wonderful. They are taking NRL's message to inside the lab, letting everybody know the great things NRL is doing, because sometimes scientists are known not to get out of their lab much and find out what's going on. So this new group that I'm working with, public affairs, video, photography, and Jonna is the head. She's going to be taking my place. She has taken my place as head of publications for all the technical reports and all the corporate pubs. So she said, I don't know if I'm going to fit in your shoes, but I said, well, you probably won't. Her feet are about like this. But she's doing a great job so far, and she will be just fine as head of publications. But I say to all of you folks that I'm leaving in public affairs, you are great. You will know more social media than I will ever know. You are wonderful with the media. I see you can't imagine how many emails come in daily from outside NRL wanting to work with different scientists here at the lab. And the folks in public affairs are putting them in touch with our scientists. Thank you, Victor, for your support. Victor's been my only my third new boss. I've only had 3 bosses here at the lab, so thank you for your support. And thank you for your kind words for me today. I'm going to miss all of you, but I hope we stay connected. I love all of you, and if I were 20 years younger, I wouldn't be retiring. But it is time to spend more time with my family. Thank you all. See what I have to look forward to. And my beautiful daughter in South Carolina, I'm so glad she got to hear this. Hi. That's wonderful. We'll see you soon.
FaceTime has changed